Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Catherine McGarry. I'm the mayor of the city of Cambridge, but I'm also the chair of today's special council meeting. Today, Public Health reported 19 new COVID cases in the region this morning. So we know that the second wave of COVID-19 is well underway. I know I've said it before, but it's absolutely crucial that we stay the course, especially as we head into this Thanksgiving weekend. Public health officials stress the importance of keeping celebrations small, and the province advises us to have only close contact with those in your household. And I know that's a big ask. I know that we're all looking forward to the chance to spend time with family and friends. I am with you on that one. But we also don't want to let this second wave gain any more ground. Ultimately, if we stay committed to following public health guidelines, we can keep moving forward through this and not backwards. But this doesn't mean that we can't all celebrate, especially as Thanksgiving is upon us this coming weekend. I would encourage everyone to connect with family and friends over Zoom or FaceTime to give thanks with each other this year. We will also have some physically distant family activities suggested on our Rec from Home page on our city website. Okay, so the big news that I really want to acknowledge is that the Ward 7 by-election that came to a close last night is something that I'm sure is top of mind for many. I want to take a moment at this time to thank each of the candidates for putting their names forward to serve their community. I also want to thank their families, their friends, and their volunteers for being part of our democratic process. You know, just ahead of the polls closing last night, as a matter of fact, at 7:57 p.m., I wrote an email to Council and I told them that I viewed this election with much anticipation and a little regret. Regret because we all miss the former council member, Frank Montero, who was not only a fellow councillor, but more importantly, a friend to all of us. May we continue to honor his memory and his many years of public service to our community. He remains unforgettable. But there's also great anticipation of what comes next. My own hope is that we all have a renewed sense of collaborative purpose to work well with each other, staff, and other levels of government. It's a privilege to serve the public at this level, and we all want the best for our city. So I really look forward to this council working together over the next 2 years and to all that we can accomplish, including our new council member. The city clerk has now certified our election results for the by-election. On behalf of all of City Council, I'm so pleased to welcome Scott Hamilton as a Ward 7 member. We look forward to working as a team with Scott, and I am absolutely confident that he will bring great things to our council and to the community, and we'll look forward to welcoming him at our next council meeting on October the 20th. Finally, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge all of our outstanding educators in Cambridge. Yesterday was World Teacher Day, and in honor of this, I want to send a heartfelt thank you to all of the teachers who are working tirelessly, both in person and online, to keep our children on track and learning safely. Your dedication is inspiring, and I certainly see that in my own home as my student is now in grade 12 and really benefiting from excellent educators in his school. So let's remember, Cambridge, we're all in this together. Together, we're going to continue to get through this. So on with today's proceedings. I'm going to ask our clerk to complete a roll call of council so that we can confirm everyone's attendance as we're coming to you electronically today. Madam Clerk?
Councillor Adshade.
Present.
Councillor Devine.
Present and accounted for.
Councillor Mehta.
Present.
Councillor Liggett will join us later on. Counselor Mann,
Present.
Counselor Reed,
Present.
Counselor Wolf,
Present.
Mayor McGarry.
Present.
Thank you.
In addition, we are going to take a moment to welcome the staff we have joining us today. So joining us electronically today, we have our city manager, David Calder, our deputy city managers, Hardy Brongberger, Cheryl Zonleiter, Yogesh Shah, and Dave Bush, our chief financial officer, Cheryl Ayers, our city solicitor, Lisa Shields, and welcome to our new director of engineering, Kevin Dulebeek, our director of communications, Suzanne Hiller, as well as today we have many staff joining us from our planning, finance, service Cambridge, technology services, and engineering divisions. So we thank you for being with us today. And clerking the meeting today, we have our city clerk, Danielle Mountain. And thanks today for our technology services staff, Ayesh Lokamulaj, who is assisting with logistics for today's meeting. We would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather today is the land traditionally used by the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Neutral people. We also acknowledge the enduring presence and deep traditional knowledge and philosophies of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today. As this is a virtual meeting, I'll ask that each member of council who wishes to speak press the raise hand feature on your video call, and the clerk and I will track the speakers today and invite you to speak when it's time. Now we'll move ahead, members of council, and a reminder to all of you that if you've made declarations of pecuniary interest at a previous meeting, you will need to do so today for the bylaw related to the same item. So at this time, members of council, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we'll now move forward with our agenda for today. As a result of social distancing guidelines and other public health measures being in place, in-person public attendance at special meetings of council is not currently available. However, the procedures for electronic participation during the course of an emergency allows for the public to provide written submissions to the city clerk's office in advance of the meeting for the items on the agenda, and to also call in via telephone to our virtual meeting. This afternoon, we do not have any registered delegations joining us. Today, however, we do welcome a staff presentation from Ahmed Kased, Business Process Analyst, who will provide us with a brief presentation followed by a demonstration of the new Service Cambridge customer service portal. So good afternoon, Ahmed, where are you? There you are. Thanks for joining us today to present. So the clerk will now share her screen. We'll ask you to advise when she needs to move to the next slide.
Bear with me.
Thank you very much, Mayor McGarry. And with me today, I have as well Wade Novak, who is the manager of Service Cambridge and Revenue, as well as Kirby Childstone, who is the manager of Business Systems, GIS Development Systems. They were both key players in this project, and they helped bring this to life. And without them, this would not have been possible. I'm going to start my presentation now once I see the screen share.
This is where I sometimes threaten that we'll need musical interlude music, but I won't hum at you, promise. Yeah, here it comes.
Thank you very much. So in order to bring the cities of Cambridge services closer to the public and to make them easier to access, Service Cambridge Customer Service Portal was implemented. This portal it provides a way to create requests with Service Cambridge for our citizens from the comfort of their home, but it also brings a number of our city services that are available online into one screen, making it easy for them to access and making the customers able to, or the citizens able to access our services in a much easier way. Next screen. So to make it very accessible, the portal can be accessed right from servicecambridge.ca or .com, and that will take the citizen directly to our portal. But it can also be accessed from our website. So if you go to cambridge.ca, right on the top banner, there is the first button is Service Cambridge, and that takes you directly to that portal. Next screen. And to complement that portal and to add to this accessibility as well, we've created a companion app for Android and Apple, which has been submitted to the app stores and should be live pretty soon. And this app brings the same functionality of the portal directly to your mobile phone screen. So instead of having to browse the internet and get to the portal, you would just open the app up and you have the same services directly on your mobile. Next. So this is just a quick picture of the portal, and this ends the slideshow, but we can go to the live demonstration of the portal.
Thank you, Ahmed. And I understand, yes, we are going to be provided with an online demonstration of how the public can experience the portal through the city's website.
Thank you. So as you can see, this is our main website, cambridge.ca, and when you click Service Cambridge, it takes you right to the portal. And this has many of our services that we offer through the city. All the services that we offer online, we try to gather them up all under this screen so it can be accessible easier. So we'll go with the example of civic services. And when you go in there, there is birthday, anniversary certificate requests, birth and death certificates, civil marriage ceremony. We'll use that as an example. So when you click create request, it'll take you directly to our calendar where you can book available wedding day appointments. So that brings that service directly in the front of the user. And another example that we can go to is also under civic services. We will look at, for example, a crossing guard inquiry. Yep, civic services. And we have crossing guard complaint or inquiry. This is where a citizen or a resident can open a request with Service Cambridge directly from here. So if we click on create request, it takes them to a form which creates a request in the tracking system that Service Cambridge has. So a Service Cambridge representative would review the information being provided and contact the complainant or the person who put in the inquiry and address it in that matter. So this is another way for Service Cambridge to intake requests as well. Right now, they are taking it requests online or via email. So now, by phone or via email or in person. This gives them the ability to take requests online as well. So this concludes our demonstration here of the portal, but there is the final part of it, which is a brief video of the app itself. And it just shows that the portal runs the same way on the app, and it gives you the same functionality everywhere. So, sorry, the video is the second file there at the top.
Just trying to find it.
No problem. It's just a brief video, and basically what it does is it shows that the portal functions exactly the same way on an app, on your mobile phone, except it is in an app format. It does in fact have some additional functionality, such as being able to search for a service rather than click through those menus, which is a great functionality on your mobile phone if you're just trying to search for what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's up now, Ahmed.
Yeah, I can see it. So what it's showing here is exactly what we just showed on the web portal, that you can go in there and you can fill a form and actually get that request going to Service Cambridge. And it's showing some of the technical aspects of it. So the requirement for having an email address so Service Cambridge can contact you, as well as the fact that you're able to pull up the street numbers and the street names from GIS, and it basically populates from our map systems. That's it for that app as well. So thank you very much for your time.
Excellent. Thank you, Ahmed. I'm going to go to a question from member of council at this point, and I see you've already got a thumbs up. I better put that up for me too. But we'll start off with a question from Councillor Devine. Councillor Devine?
Ahmed, thanks for your presentation. I have two questions here. Now, I understand you're a techie guy, so you might not be able to answer the second one. I think it's probably more in Dave Bush's field. So this app that can go on Android or Apple phones, like we as counselors can go on the App Store now and get that?
It can go on both. Yes, it is an Android and an Apple phone. It has been submitted to the app stores respectively. They have a little bit of a review time and a process of their own, and then they bring it live to the App Store. So that is, we're expecting it very shortly, and as soon as it comes live on the app stores, then we will communicate it publicly as well.
Well, that's perfect. Okay, now the other thing is, with the City One, it's great for people to be able to send emails, and it's a much better system they've set up than we had. And it's great for people to send emails and make inquiries. What is the time frame for a response to these people? I got my ears chewed off today over a woman that had, I won't go into the details, man, for a week she's been trying to get a hold of City Hall, and there's been no response. And I think it's been corrected now. But I'm suggesting, my question is, Dave, is there an expectation to reply to these people in 24 hours? Like we need to put a time frame down.
Through you, your worship, that's an excellent question, Councillor Devine. 24 hours is reasonable. We've yet to set that as the response time, but we're working on our customer service philosophy. I'll ask Wade Novak to add anything to that, because Wade is directly in charge of Service Cambridge. Wade.
Great. Thank you. And through your worship, I agree 24 hours is a reasonable timeline for the initial contact. We're working on service level, establishing these KPIs for sort of the escalation or step 2. So the initial contact, we have the staffing in place to respond to all of these within 24 hours, no problem.
Okay, but it's fine for somebody to pick up the phone and say they responded. All right. Okay, like first point of contact. I'm not talking first point of contact. I'm talking people actually getting a response, not first point of contact, but people actually getting a response and an answer to their issue. That's the difference. The difference between first point of contact and getting an answer. Two different things.
Through you, your worship, to Councillor Devine. Absolutely. It depends case by case on the amount of effort that it takes to research a particular problem. Some of them take much longer in as water consumption or tax issues that need to be researched through files. Others can be answered simply in the phone call. So it all depends on the depth of information required, but we certainly do try to expedite our responses as quickly as possible. And we're accountable each and every time. And if there's an issue, we follow up and we will address it.
Can I respond to that, Mayor McGarry?
Yes, go ahead.
It's my feeling the general public is getting frustrated, okay? I mean, we have to talk about point of contact, which we already just beat up. If it's going to take 5 days for somebody to get an answer and it needs to be researched for 5 days, that's what people need to know. I'll be back to you within 5 days or 6 days or 7 days. But let's please make sure we get back to people within that time frame.
Through you, Your Worship.
People need to be told.
Yeah, go
Through
ahead,
Your
Mr.
Worship.
Bush.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions from members of council? Are there any comments at this point from members of council? Councillor Mann, go ahead, Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you, I just want to say thanks for the work that's gone into making this available to the public on their mobile device. I think it makes it so much simpler for the public, those who are so technically inclined, to be able to connect with staff and to be able to register an issue or to inquire about an issue. And I think we have really made it easy for the public to connect with us. So I just want to thank you for the initiative and for the work that's gone into this and for making it that much easier for us and for staff and the public. So thanks for that to the team.
Thank you. Any further comments from members of council? Seeing none, I also wanted to thank you again for the demonstration, Ahmed, and for joining us today. And also thank you to Kirby Childerhouse and from Technology Services and Wade Novak from Service Cambridge for also joining us today, and for the staff team that worked on this initiative to better serve our municipality and the residents that live within it. So thank you so much for joining us today. So we'll continue to move forward in our agenda today. And our first item for consideration this afternoon is the consent agenda. I understand that Councillor Urmeta has pulled item number 9. So we'll move forward with the rest of the consent agenda and vote on that, and then we'll move forward at that point. So again, if a member of council wishes to comment on any of the consent agenda items, please let us know at this time by using your raise hand feature. But in the interest of time, we will look to vote on the consent procedure in a block, except for item number 9 this afternoon. But if you wish to comment, you're welcome to. So I'll just see if there's any further hands raised for comments for the consent procedure items. Councillor Reid.
Thank you very much. Yes, I had some questions around the inclusionary zoning, and looking forward to having that happen. I noticed that Kitchener already has completed their needs assessment and Waterloo's in the process, and we're only starting. And I wondered why we have yet to start ours, if there's a reason for that, or what has been holding us back from that? That's my first question.
Thank you. And I see that Deanne Fries would like to answer that, if that's okay. Yep, Ms. Fries, go ahead.
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. So the reason why the Kitchener Waterloo are further ahead is because they've already defined their major transit station areas and what those areas or the delineation of those areas will be. We're still in preliminary stages for identifying the boundaries of those areas.
Oh, well, that goes into my next question, if I may, is how do we determine what the major station areas are?
So we're, again, sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, we're in consultation with the region to figure out exactly what those boundary areas are. So we've had a few meetings to figure out the boundaries of the area, figure out what exactly the 500 to 800 meter walking distance would be based on the configuration of our station areas. Okay. So it's a work in progress.
Thank you. And how soon can we expect a report coming back to us from the working group? Because I think this is really important to us as a city.
I don't have a short answer for that. I think that we need to get our major transit station areas underway. We need to go out to the public with consultation, and then we'll come back to council with a report. I'm sorry, I don't have an estimation on timing for that.
Okay, thank you. I have some questions on number 10, but others may have questions in the meantime, or would you like me to go ahead?
Just one moment and let me see if there's any other members' questions. And I don't see any, so go ahead, Councillor Reid, with your question for item 10.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. That's the one on affordable housing, and I was really interested in you saying that it's an innovative approach having a private and public nonprofit partnership. I wondered if you could explain that a bit more broadly to me. And I was really pleased to see that it says that it would keep the rents affordable during the entire life of the building. So that certainly is a plus, but I'm really interested in learning more about the private and nonprofit partnership.
I'm just looking for staff. Ms. Fries, yes, go ahead.
Sorry, I'll try to answer that. And I don't really have the right answer for this either, because I wasn't involved in the arrangement with the for this project and the actual agreement between mayor and clerk. And I'm not sure whether we have legal staff that could answer that better, that who were involved in the actual agreement for 195 Hessler.
Well, we could get it later then. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that we'll do that to make sure that you get all the answers. It's been a complex property for sure. All right, and I don't see any other hands up. Okay, so we will move forward with the rest of the consent agenda except for number 9. So Councillor Reid, you do have that motion. Would you please read it in its entirety?
I'm going to ask the clerk to read it for me since I don't have it at hand.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
That all items listed under the heading of consent procedure for Tuesday, October 6, 2020, council agenda be adopted as recommended. Items number 1, special council minutes, September 22nd, 2020. 2, Committee of Adjustment minutes, August 26, 2020. 3, Municipal Heritage Advisory Committee minutes, January 16, 2020. 4, Municipal Heritage Advisory Committee minutes, February 20th, 2020. 5, Municipal Heritage Advisory Committee minutes, July 16th, 2020. Municipal Heritage Advisory Committee minutes, August 20th, 2020. Inclusionary Zoning Information Update regarding the work of Intermunicipal Inclusionary Zoning Working Group. 9 has been pulled. 10, Affordable Housing Community Improvement Plan, change in ownership on agreement for 195 Hessler Road. 11, Donation Agreement, Canadian General Tower Limited.
Thank you, and that's moved by Councillor Reid and seconded by Councillor Devine. So at this point, are there any further questions for any of these items or any comments from members of council? And seeing none, we're ready to call for that vote. Madam Clerk.
Councillor Adshade.
In favor.
Councillor Devine.
Aye.
Councillor Mehta.
In favor.
Councillor Mann.
In favor?
Councillor Reid.
In favor.
Councillor Wolf.
In favor.
Mayor McGarry.
In favor.
And that's carried.
Thank you. And now we'll move ahead and ask Councillor Mehta, you pulled item number 9. And that is the Rainbow Crosswalk Installation Update Report 20-233 in bracket CD. Councillor Mehta.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. If I could get a mover and seconder to put that on the floor, please, and then I'll comment.
Okay, is there a seconder for Councillor Mehta? So Councillor Mehta, are you moving that?
I would prefer a different mover because I disagree with the cost.
Okay, so I will ask if there is a mover from other members of council members, as well as a seconder. Councillor Wolf, are you going to move this agenda item?
If we don't move it, does that mean it fails?
Yes.
So yes, I will move it.
Oh, you want to move it?
Well, I want it to pass. So if we've removed it from the consent agenda.
Just one moment. I'm going to just confer with the clerk. I don't
Okay.
think I understood your question. Can you ask your question again?
If no one moves it, does that mean it fails?
Okay, just one moment, please. Thank you. Just as a point of clarification from the clerk, we do have to put it on the floor even to vote on it because it's been pulled from the consent agenda. So if you'd like to put it on the floor, Councillor Wolf, or another member of council with a seconder, then it can be discussed and then it'll have to be voted on one way or another.
I will move it.
Okay. And I see Councillor Mann's hand up. Are you seconding it? Okay. And now that the motion is on the floor, I'm looking for people to speak to it. And Councillor Mehta, you go ahead, please. Councillor Mehta. Click again.
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, you know, I certainly believe it's a worthy cause. It's just the cost that I'm concerned about, especially with the uncertainty of COVID-19 and how we're facing deficits all across the country. And, you know, I'm a firm believer that our tax dollars need to go towards the hard services. And I would prefer, even if we could look at an amendment, if it's possible, if we could ask the LGBTQ community to fundraise as well as operate the crosswalk, and that we also extend the same invitation to any other group in the community. You know, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's the breast cancer support center, whether it's the Sikh community, the Muslim community, there are a lot of worthy causes, and I believe everyone should have the same opportunity. So that's where I'm coming from, and I feel very strongly and passionate about that. I wanted to get that point out across again, that although I'm supportive of the crosswalk, I believe that everyone should be paying for it themselves. And, you know, I know people in my ward who, you know, they're making or breaking it with their property taxes right now. I know of clubs in our community that are coming to me saying, Nick, we got to do something. We're going to close this year. And I'm finding this very concerning. I know it's only 15,000, but it's a lot of money to a lot of other people. And, you know, I'm just standing by my guns that way, that, you know, we need to look for other ways to fund these things. And like I said, I'm open to an amendment if we can ask the groups to fundraise. But if it's not going to go in that direction, then I won't be supporting the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. And I've got several other speakers, Councillor Mehta, so I'm just going to go to them first. So I've got Councillors Wolf, Reed, and Devine. Councillor Wolf. Sorry, you've now muted. Go ahead.
Through you, Madam Mayor. This motion isn't about funding. We've already done the funding. We've already had this argument. It's already gone through council. We've discussed why it isn't appropriate to fundraise. We've also discussed that the installation of a rainbow crosswalk is intended to be a symbol of support and celebration for the to LGBTQ plus community and a sign of the city's commitment to diversity and inclusion. This motion is only a technicality with the region asking about the signal light. Because if wherever we put something different, we have to consult the region because they control the signal light. And I don't think this is an appropriate time to start this entire argument all over again. So I'm full support of this motion as well as the rainbow crosswalk.
Thank you. Councillor Reid and then Councillor Devine. Councillor Reid now. Unmute, please. Thanks. Press the button again.
There we go. Sorry about that. We have, as Councillor Wolf said, decided that it is important to this city to welcome our LGBTQ with a signal and a sign of having the rainbow crosswalk. That has already been decided. Actually, we decided quite a long time ago with our diversity and inclusive program. It was in there and we passed that maybe a year or 2 years ago. I think it's really important to have this welcoming signal, and it's in our budget, and I think it behooves us to go ahead with it and to pass this motion, which, as Councillor Wolf has pointed out, is not a motion deciding should we, would we, could we. It's a motion to say we need to talk to the region about the signals. And I see no reason that we shouldn't talk to the region about the signalization of that corner when we put the crosswalk in. So I will be supporting the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Devine's next. Councillor Devine.
Yes, thank you. I support the motion. This is a budget item that we went through during budget. We had debate and we had our debate on it about that. This is about supporting the LGBT community, but it actually goes deeper than that. It goes much deeper than that. We, as city council, regional council, we want the brightest, smartest people we can get. Could care less what their sexuality is. To work in the high-tech industry, to come out here, work in the high-tech industry, buy homes, pay taxes, and be part of our community. I mean, I could care less what's sexuality there. I really don't. But as a counselor, I want the brightest, smartest people we can get. And this is part of that. We don't want to be pushing people away. We don't want to be pushing LGBT people away. We don't want to be pushing away visible minorities. And yeah, there might be other crosswalks come up and there might be other items come up. But if that's what it takes to get the best that we can get, I mean, look what was done in California many, many years ago. The 25 years had us, 30 in some cases. I have no problem with this particular item. And like I said, it's been beat up too many times. So I support it 100%. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions or now comments from members of council? Seeing no other speakers, I'm going to return now to Councillor Urmeta. Councillor Urmeta.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. And I do hear a lot of what's been said today, and I do agree with that. But I'm standing by principle that I believe that the different groups need to fundraise for themselves. And it's been done in like a lot of other jurisdictions across Ontario. And, you know, we should be looking at other crosswalks. Then if we're doing it for one group, we should be looking at other groups as well. And it's going to come up, and I want council to be aware of that. And, you know, I'm standing by principle, even with other groups, that everyone needs to fundraise for their own crosswalk, and that we need to stick with the bricks and mortar of the city. We need to stick with the day-to-day services. And that's where I'm coming from with this. So
Okay, Councillor Mehta, are you completed your comments?
Mhm.
Okay. Seeing no further comments, we're ready to call for the vote. Madam Clerk?
Councillor Adshade,
In favor.
Councillor Devine,
Okay,
Councillor Mehta,
Opposed?
Councillor Mann,
In favor?
Councillor Reed,
In favor.
Councillor Wolf,
In favor?
Mayor McGarry,
In favor.
and that carries.
Thank you. We'll now move on to consideration of reports. Our first item is number 8, recommendation report, 95 East Street zoning bylaw amendment, Aziz Bacchus. So Councillor Adshade, you have the motion. I see you're already unmuted. Would you please read it in its entirety?
Yes, thanks, Your Worship. That report 20-231 CD be received, and that Cambridge Council approved the proposed zoning bylaw amendment to change the zoning on part of the property at 95 East Street from institutional N1 to residential R4 S.4.1.391 to permit the construction of 3 single detached dwellings for reasons set out in report 20-231 CD. And that the bylaw attached to recommended report 20-231 CD be passed. And further, that Cambridge Council is satisfied that the subsequent public meeting in accordance with subsection 34(17) of the Planning Act is not required. And I'd like to speak on this.
Thank you, Councillor Adshade. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm in full support of this motion. It's a really good use of vacant land. That's just sitting vacant. It used to be a daycare and a church, but it's being vacant now. I'm really glad that staff put a 2-story height limit on this, because this new development of 3 detached houses will be very compatible with the neighborhood. And even during the public meetings, the neighbors were in full support of this proposal. So I'm in full support of this motion.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members of council for staff? Seeing none, does council have any comments? Seeing none, I think we're ready for the vote. Madam Clerk?
Councillor Adshade,
In favor.
Councillor Devine,
aye,
Councillor Mehta,
In favor?
Councillor Mann,
In favor?
Councillor Reed,
In favor.
Councillor Wolf,
In favor?
Mayor McGarry,
In favor.
and that carries.
Thank you. So we're now going to be moving into closed session next. So I'm going to call for a motion to consider matters in closed session. Councillor Mehta, I believe you have this motion. Could you please read it in its entirety?
Thanks, Your Worship. Could I get the clerk to read it? Because I don't have it with me.
Certainly. Madam Clerk?
Thank you.
In accordance with section 239(2)(d), (e), and (f) of the Municipal Act 2001, council to convene in closed session to consider the following subject matters: litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality, negotiations regarding potential land acquisition and employee negotiations, and labor relations or employee negotiations, negotiations regarding potential land acquisition and employee negotiations. Advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, update on a legal matter.
Thank you. And that's moved by Councillor Mehta and seconded by Councillor Mann. And we're ready for the vote. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Councillor Adshade,
In favor.
Councillor Devine,
aye,
Councillor Mehta,
In favor?
Councillor Mann,
In favor?
Counselor Reed,
In favor?
Counselor Wolf,
In favor?
Mayor McGarry,
In favor.
and that carries.
Thank you. So we'll now be moving on to our closed agenda. So I'd remind council members and staff to place your microphones on mute. We'll be placing a sign on screen just to note that we're in closed, and it'll take a couple of minutes to unhook from the recording and get set up. So I'll see you in a couple minutes.